Welcome world, welcome to my cooking show, Cooking with Maestro. I'm your host, Chef Nove. Here with me today is a very good friend of mine and another maestro. Please welcome Dr. Tony Davis.
Thank you, Nove.
Thank you, Tony, for sharing your gift to us.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, so what are you making for us
This is
today?
a fun dessert today, Cherry's Jubilee.
Right.
You set it on fire, so it can't be that bad.
Well, look,
Look at
the
all the
ingredients.
liquors.
Yes, I'm excited to taste this. Well, the stage is yours. Let's take it from here.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Nove.
You're welcome.
Well, the star of the show is the cherry. So we have some regular red cherries here you get at the supermarket. And they're the red variety here. And the first thing you got to do is take the pit out. So you just take your paring knife. And if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, you know, the way they would do it back in Queen Victoria's time when this was invented, you would take the knife and just go around the cherry stone like that. And then it go in there. Another way to take the stone out of the cherry, you can have one of these multi-cherry stone pitters. And right here you'll see that you'll have the individual slots for the cherries. And you can just simply place those in. And on this one it has space enough for 7 cherries. All right, so all the cherries are inside. Then you can place the plastic back on top. And then to cut through the cherries, you use this device that's on top. You put a lot of force on it. Magically, your cherries are all pitted. And as you can see, there's no pit. And you just put the cherries right here inside the bowl. I like to slice them in half. A half cherry absorbs more alcohol than a full cherry does. Now in this bowl I have a pound of cherries that have already been placed with Kirschwasser, and I'll show you what Kirschwasser is. And I put a pound of cherries and I just put 3/4 cup of that Kirschwasser. I put it inside there with a tablespoon of sugar. And what you do over 2 hours, when that sugar and that brandy soaks into those cherries releases those natural, beautiful cherry juices, and it all incorporates into this wonderful mixture. So this is what we have now. So now we're going to start the flambe of our Cherry's Jubilee. So our next step is to start the flambe of our cherries. I'm going to turn this pan here to a medium-high heat. And I'm going to take maybe a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of butter. Let's do 2 tablespoons. More butter never hurt. And then we're going to let this butter just melt a little bit here in the pan. So I'm going to put maybe a 1/3 cup of the sugar here in the butter that's already melted. And I'm going to start zesting my lemon. Now you can do this right over the stove. And if you can, try to get all the zest from the lemon. And this really gives a great background note to the souffle. Okay, so you want to just keep turning this. You might want to stir a little. Oh, that lemon gives it a wonderful fragrance. And for a softer background note, I like to use the zest of an orange. The zest of the orange balances the sweetness of the tartness of the cherries. And then if you want, what I like to do is just squeeze a little of this orange juice in here. You really want to make this nice and juicy and fragrant. And I can juice a little bit of the lemon too. And if you turn the lemon upward this way, you won't get the seeds inside. They'll just catch in between your fingers. And you can do the whole orange, which I think I'll do because I really like the background notes that the orange gives in this. So we're just going to stir that. So all the acidity, now the sugar is kind of made into a syrup or a caramel, but once all of that juice has hit the pan, it's going to come up from the bottom. And all of that juice is going to incorporate so beautifully in making a nice sauce to round out the flavor of these cherries, which is ready to add now. So I have a pound of the cherries that we've macerated for 2 hours in the kirsch and the sugar, which will go in. And here's where you really got to turn up the flame. Now there's 3/4 cup of kirsch, which is a sizable amount of alcohol. So we want to get this really going. And the cherries, since they've been macerating for 2 hours, have kind of broken down. Their juices they're pretty much cooked. So we're just going to let this go for a couple of minutes until the cherries are kind of softened and all the flavors have come together. And we want to reduce this just a little bit so it comes more of a syrup. All right, so I would say this syrup has reduced, so we're going to pull the cherries back here as much as I can. Then I'm going to take this cognac, I'm going to put it at the top of the pan. And here you can see it's already starting to flambe. And if it's not flambeing enough, just tilt the pan to the side, and there it goes. And I'm just going to let that go and let it have a good time and enjoy this wonderful fire here. Of course, if you shake it, it's going to get more angry at you, which I kind of like to tempt it. So the flame has died out on our flambe. It is now time to plate up and enjoy our cherries. All right, so we're ready to serve up these Cherries Jubilee. I'll invite my friend Nove to come on over and see if I did a good job or not. Hi, Nove.
Thank you, Tony, for gracing our show again.
All right.
It looks wonderful. I love the flames, and of course, I love the alcohol.
Oh, the alcohol, yes. You can't go bad.
Yes. So, what do we have here?
All right, so what I'd like to do first is pour a little of this cherry herring. Cherry herring is a liqueur from Denmark, made in Copenhagen. And it says here is made in 1818. So I'm going to just pour a little bit on the ice cream. Now this is such a delicate liqueur, you won't even need to burn it off. And you know, you think there's 3 types of liqueur in here, but it's not really a boozy dessert, and you'll see once we try it. So I'm just going to pour a little, just a splash of it. And it's just for that background note. You know, if you're a conductor of the symphonies, it's basically the violas in the viola section. It gives that warmth. And so we'll just pour a little bit.
Don't forget the cello players.
So there goes the cherry herring. And now we're going to just spoon over this wonderful hot piping cherries on top. And this is a pound of cherries. And I'd say this would easily serve 6 to 8 people.
Okay. Boy, it looks delicious.
Now, we don't have enough booze, of course, so I think we have a cordial here. That would be a nice accompaniment.
Yeah, so what I have here is a cherry cordial from Poland, of course, in honor of Frederick Chopin.
Oh, which is great because we cherry herring from Denmark, and that's Carl Nielsen.
Fantastic. So let's try it. So we need to pour ourselves with this, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so would you like to pour you a...
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a great color. Now, if you don't have cherry cordial, you could also use port, or a really nice sweet sherry would also work well.
Right.
So do a cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy cooking with you.
Yes, thank you. Cheers. Should we try it now?
Yeah, let's try.
Okay.
Now, if you want a little more sauce, let me know.
My.
But it doesn't taste too boozy either, does it?
Oh, just fantastic. I mean, everything that you put in here is really complements everything. So, congratulations,
Well,
Tony.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you again. Thank you, Tony, for joining
My
us.
pleasure being here.
Again, thank you for joining us with Cooking with Maestro, this time with my special guest, Dr. Tony Davis. Don't forget to subscribe on my channel, hit that button. I'm your host, Chef Nove. Cheers.